Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Doc here from North America. What is it? It is TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday. That's right. As you can see there, the the Swiss franc is lifting, which means that the dollar is lifting and saltine is going down in value. Let me think. What else can we say about that? It seems like I've come up with this conclusion out of nowhere over the last, thinking about the markets for the last couple of weeks. The way the first of the year started off, watching the cryptocurrencies, the whole bit. I think this is the year of the central bank. In other words, there were times back in the old days when I was a kid. We talked about how the funds ran the market for the year, or it was the year of the funds. It was the year of, some particular type of what was the flavor of the year when it came to investing and strategy. And I think this year we're going to see a lot of the central banks. Central banks are going to be much more predominant in the sense of they're already predominant. They are the main function or pillar of the marketplace. But I think we're going to see more, which is really odd and very strange. So I think that this is going to be the year of the central banks, and obviously the Federal Reserve is a central bank, so it's going to be very curious there. And you can see the weakness. Let's see if we can get a mouse here. There's Mr. and Mrs. Mouse right there. As you can see on J4X here, we got a lifting going on. The strength over the last couple of days. Same thing in our Chicago Quant, strength. Lifting. It does seem like we're running into, I don't know, the central banks seem to be things overall don't make any sense anymore when it comes to the continuity or consistency of policies. Everything seems to have kind of evaporated over the last month or two, and something's really strange going on. And what I mean by that is it seems like a lack of responsibility. Just doesn't seem to be a responsibility there. So I don't know. I think we're going to see, this is going to be a very interesting year. Thank goodness the quants are always ahead of the central banks. So, or at least put it this way, 9 out of 10 times our quant is ahead of the central bank and the direction of the marketplace. So at least we're not dependent on fundamentals. We're just looking at the price of something and seeing that it's screaming and saying, I want to go higher. And we just keep on following it, and normally it does that. It goes higher. Or in a case like here, when looking at the Swiss, that's a weekly sell signal right there, the pink. The weekly buy number is, or a weekly buy signal is a light green. And then the same thing with the daily here in the center. You have it red dotted, which is a sell. And you can see that the trend goes that way. And same thing here. It's kind of like watching the weather and hoping your plants get water. You see the clouds building up, and then you can see where we get some rain, and then it looks like it wants to be continuous, and then you can see when it runs out, and then when it dries out, and we're all sitting there, and the ground is rocky again, and then all of a sudden we get another signal that it's going to rain again, like we did here. So with this red line right there, that dotted line right there, just emphasizing it right there. And so that's my view coming into this morning, and it seemed to hit me about an hour ago too. I was making my tea and I was thinking about it, and and I was thinking this is going to be a really strange year because the central banks seem to be wide open. It's like not having the governor working on an engine. They just seem to be wide open now. They're not afraid to tell us that they're doing things. They're not afraid that what the consequences are because they feel like they have full control. It's like trying to be convinced that you can plant. It's going to rain just because it rains for 3 days. It's going to rain the rest of the season every so often 3 days. I don't know about all that. We'll see, but I have not seen that always work. So that's where we are this morning. We start off with the currencies. You can see here the dollar is rising. Now I'm going to go and jump over to this. Where is it at? There is the, just for a point of view visually, there's the 10-year. And the 10-year has made a nice dip in here, It went into the sell right, I guess it was right there. And broke its channel thing, and it's having some pressure. Now, no doubt they're trying to buy today. And we had a volatility signal on Friday. No, wait a minute. What is that? Oh, it's doing that thing again where they've commingled a Sunday and a Monday, and sooner or later it'll change that, and it'll change the dots and the lines and the whole bit. I hate when that does that. And so, in the end result is we're in a weekly sell, and the pressure's on. And then when we look at the 30-year, where's the 30-year? There it is right there. And we look at the 30-year, same situation, same pressure, and we'll see what they try to do with that. This is last night. This is today. They're going to be commingled. Sooner or later, the data provider will commingle the two together, and it'll be one. More than likely, obviously, trying to turn up. That's about it. And so that's where we are. We're looking at that, and we think interest rates are trying to go up. Now, you would think, the bond, what do they call them? The bond vigilantes will have something to say about it. But I don't know. The central banks just seem to have so much power, and they'll just flood the markets with more cash to the funds or the banks themselves, and they'll go and buy bonds because they need some type of return versus no return. And when you think about it on the planet, you've got 15 trillion basically yielding minus or zero, one or the other. And so here in the States, they're going to run towards the dollar because at least the bonds here are paying like 1%, 1.5%, that type of thing. Something is better than nothing. If you can park your billions and get something for it versus like in the European Union and so forth where they actually have to pay. They actually have to pay to buy a bond. So, okay, I'm going to give you my $5 billion. You're going to give me back $4.99 billion back. What happened to that little teeny one slice of that billion? Wouldn't we all love to have that little slice in our pockets? So that's where we are. I don't see anybody saying hello this morning. Don't be afraid. Just because I go on a ramble doesn't mean you can't interrupt me. Trust me. I'm usually better off interrupted. Or I will just go constantly into the deepest, darkest, and excited points of what the financial markets can do and the commodities markets can do through the influences of central banks and what we've observed they've been doing for the last half a decade to decade now, using them as surrogates, as currency. And that's the weird part. That's what, for farmers and so forth, seeing these all-time high, not all-time highs, but these high runs in the commodity side, it's because their commodity has turned into a currency surrogate. Oh, there we go. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read the names. Zefrov. Hey, how you doing? And Mach, like in Mach. Or the Speed of Sound. One or the other. I like both of those, hey? The Speed of Sound or Shavadar. It sounds like a wine, and it sounds Zefrov. Sounds interesting, biblical. How are you guys doing? I hope, or gals, I hope you had a good weekend. Here on the east coast of the United States, things are getting warmer. Close enough. Oh, that's cool. At least I've got it. I got close. I got the sound. I'm just gonna call you CZ. That makes it easier. Doc is always trying to, on the trading floor, we used to always break things down because you got hundreds of people standing around screaming and moving money at the same time through that screaming. And so we always wanted to make sure our conversations were accurate. So, we would call like December Christmas. You can't get December wrong by saying Christmas. You can't get July wrong by saying 4th of July. 4th of July instead of July, or the 4th. That type of thing. So you don't get September and December and so forth a little tangled up with screaming and yelling. But anyway, glad to be there. Or I'm glad I'm here. Let's put it that way. What is going on with Trump? Saturday night, it sounded like he had signed the was it the insurrection document, and then I talked to the good senator from Mississippi on Sunday, and he said no, he did not. And the good senator from Louisiana allegedly had tweeted that he had, So as far as I can tell, the insurrection has not been signed. It's one of the more confusing things I've ever seen in my lifetime. Remember, I'm an old political hack. So remember, I was a chairman of the party, and I was chairman of Farmer and Ranchers in New Jersey for Bob Dole and so forth. And so it's a little confusing to me how something can be so confused. This is not normal here in the States to see things so confused where we can't get a clarity of something. It's like as if no one's when you stand up and you swear to the Constitution, it's like no one's paying attention to it anymore. It's very weird. So we're just watching it play out. That's all we can do. Like I did say, I did contact the senator in Mississippi. He's pretty patriotic, and he got back to me in a matter of minutes and confirmed that it had not been signed, the insurrection document. So we'll just keep on marching along, watching the way it all plays out. But I think that the one thing that's very clear at the moment for us in the financial markets and the commodities markets is that the central banks are going to be incredibly more influential than ever before. I know it's a really strange thing to say, thinking that you've already seen the peak of how much they can be involved. It looks like they're going to be even more involved. So, all right, where are we at now? Let's go over to the euro. And if anybody wants to see any particular product, just shout it out, and we will, put it up there. We'll take a look at it. We're going to go to the euro. You can see the euro doing the same thing. I guess it went into the sell on Friday there. We didn't put a line in there. It's still in the weekly buy. I think on our charts for Chicago Quant, we put it on there, the dark charts. So it's in a sell. You can see it's pressuring down again. And I have to give credit to the idea that we're paying interest on our bonds and other people are not. And I think that's where it all comes down to. So when it comes to your question there about the Trumpy, we're just waiting and seeing. I'm trying to tiny short on euro. Okay. Well, what's interesting is that the white line is below the time manifold here. There's a lot of pressure on it. You can see the histogram on a Monday morning trying to get towards the zero line. If they put some pressure and take out maybe these lows or this low right here, I guess it's literally almost that low or this low right here, that should drive our weekly into the minus. And let me just double check this. We are running, okay, good. So it's just the 3 we're running. That's what it is. We're not running the 5 side of it. So the white line and the histogram will go minus together. See, when you run the 3-5 and we use a 5 on plot 6, that slows it down. And when we're just running the 3 here, that speeds it up. And so you can see here it's dancing along, trying to go into the sell. Yep, Happy New Year to you too, Sweetan. Lou Sweetan. Cool. That's a nice name. I like that. Lou Sweetan. Is that an L or I? It's an I. Tan. Nice. I hope you're having a good New Year too, and I know the Lunar New Year is coming around the corner, so we're looking forward to all of that. And then I guess we look at cable. If you're trying to short, well, you know what we do? I think we have one. Let's do this too. Let's go here. Don't we have a short-term? We were looking at it last week. No, I guess not. I could have sworn we had a short-term euro in there, like a 15-minute euro or something like that. There's a. Let's see what we can do here. I guess. Let's make a copy of that. Which window is it? It's right here. So copy that window. And we can put a short term in there. Would you like to, since you're trying to short it, would you like to see like a 15-minute or a 5-minute or something I follow? Or, what would you like to see when it comes to the euro? We can do that. There it is right. There's the 4 hour to start off with. There's the 4 hour on the euro. You see it's under pressure. We've been in the sell since right here, since the volatility signal, because 2 back-to-back volatilities with this minus pushes it into the sell right there. Then the next bar, 4 hours, was down. Then it goes sideways for, 12, almost 16 hours, but makes a new low. And then goes sideways again and breaks again. We get one little pop and it doesn't live long, just 4 hours, and it goes right back into the cell. And now you can see we've gone into a glide there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 20 hours. I hope that helps you out there. 1 hour. Let's do 1 hour. Let's see what it looks like. Now there's the 1 hour. It did have a little bit more fun here. It went into the bio and that little teeny weeny one right there, and then it gave us the. Is it really an explosion? 40 pips? I guess 40 pips could be considered an explosion, especially for intraday traders. It's a rockin' explosion. Then you can see here we go back into the sell off of this one. That was close, but no cigar. And then yeah, we go into the sell and it's winner, winner, chicken dinner. And then it's just been sell all the way up until this point here. And now we're back into the sell again, but it's obviously been as much as a winner as a loser on the 1 hour there. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I'm answering everybody's question too. Oh, you're in Singapore. Cool. I always wanted to trade on the Singapore exchange. My wife wouldn't let me. Wanted to go there, but didn't happen. What are stochastic parameters, what you use? Oh, here, I'll show you, Mark. Over here on the J4X. Let's do that. I like to make sure I answer all questions. So, right there, it's the edit. Edit will give you a good view. So the fast white one is a 5.3. Okay, right there. And the golden dotted line is a slow 5.3 with a 3 there, high, low. And then we just threw the CCI in there for strength, and that gives a good insight. It follows our mathematics basically about 70% of the time. It matches up to this about 70% of the time, which is pretty cool. It's very efficient for something for free. Obviously, you come to Dukascopy every day here, and you'll see our work. And then, you know, you can see here, where's the Chicago Quant? Oh, we're on the Chicago Quant. Okay, and shows, let's see, what are we looking at? So that's Swiss still. So let's go take a look at the Euro. And then we're going to jump over to the cable. Where is it at? Right? I know we saw it around here somewhere. There it is. So you can see here it's breaking down also to join in with the Euro on our Chicago Quant. It has made the break. Let's see now. What is this? This is a Euro. Oh, this is a 4 hour Euro. 1 hour Euro. Okay. Let's go back to the daily there. And was that a minus there too? No, that was not a minus there. Just there. Going in on Friday. So it matches up pretty well there. Which is really cool. And you can see our weekly is telling us that it's getting a lot of pressure to push into the weekly sell also at the same time. Let's see now. I'm making sure I answered all questions here. I'm trying to tiny short. Okay. What are the stochastic parameters? I gave that. Lou Suitan. Happy New Year. We've done that. Singapore. Cool. Wish I traded in Singapore. I was learning not to spit my gum on the ground, but I still wanted to trade there. I hope so. Let's see. I am long Euro GBP. My target is 90.48. Let's check that out. Where are we on this fact check spreadsheet on that too? Let's just take a look. That's line. Let's do the upload to get rid of that. Cancel. There it is, line 15. So we're 2 weeks in a sell, 1 day in a sell, right there. See that right there for the Euro GBP. Now let's go take a look at it on. We'll put it up on J4X first. Euro GBP right there. They're doing a little lift in there this morning, I see. No, not really. Okay, red candles. And it's trying to break down there. So it didn't do it on Friday, but it's doing it on Monday, that's for sure. It's trying to break. And let's check it out on the Chicago Quant. Let's see, window, right there. And yeah, you can see where we went into the sell here, but you can see it didn't really make much of a low there last night, and we're higher than we were yesterday, but you can see the weekly trend is showing us that it wants to break down more. So imagine that the cable will be stronger against this, and that's what it looks like to me, and so this is just an opportunity. Let's see. Your target. 1 hour. Gave him that. Let's see. So CZ got 1 hour. Good. We'll be fine. Let's see. Let's see. And Hey Samuel, how do you do? Please, can we also take a look at GBP Swiss? Sure, we'll do that also. And a Euro GBP bear or bull. So right now it's a bear. It's definitely a bear. We're in a weekly sell since like let's see, where's that? Since the end of Christmas, I guess is. Yeah, no, end of New Year's. We're in a weekly sell. Hasn't really gone down much, and it jumped into the buy right there, which none of this is, this is end of year stuff. So that's how we have an 8.5 out of 10 accuracy. We get stuff like this, and that interrupts it. But that's right. Now we're past it. So now, what is it? Samuel's looking for cable, the British pound against the Swiss. So let's see what that looks like. British pound against the Swiss right there. So we're bearish on the GBP, the Euro GBP, and every time we go into a sell, we think that it wants to go down. That's how it is, because it's in a weekly sell. There it is there. Well, that's flat-lined also for the last couple of weeks for the new year. You can see some strength trying to come in here. Let's find it on this chart here. Let's see. So it's a British pound. I know we've looked at this. There it is right there. We even have a chart of it right there. Okay, so you can see here I had a volatility on Thursday of last week. It lifted on Friday. I guess we didn't have the red dot. Let's just refresh that. Looks like we may not have had the red dot when we did that last time. Let's just refresh it like a week. And somewhere along the line, more data came in and changed that, put that red dot there. And at the close of that, the buy of that makes it a buy. But then look at it, it's pretty much unched. So it has not really done much to it. It's in a weekly buy from here. There was the weekly sell, and that was a reversal. You can see that too. Same situation over that holiday couple of weeks that we always warn everybody about trying not to trade in. You can see it put us into the buy with us in a weekly sell, so you couldn't be short. You really didn't want to be long at the same time because we're in a weekly sell. And so that was sloppy there. Now here was a little bit better because now we're away from most of the holiday. And there was a buy right there. It slipped into the sell for just like one day, and it went back into the buy and did this thing here. Made back what it gave up there, but it's still incredibly volatile and sloppy. Our math is really fighting to be on the right side of this whole thing. You can see that. There's our sell right there at this top in, was that August, September, in September. But we were in a buy, and then we got into the sell, and here somewhere during that week, confirmed it at the end of the week. And then you can see it starts to give us a buy signal in here. And it does go up, but we're in a weekly sell, so you can't really try to ride the northern side of this or the up move of this. It's definitely a tough pairs trade. There's no doubt about that. It really is. Look at all these shifts every couple days, and then it goes into a little trend, whereas you get into the short here off of that one right after the green dot day. But it doesn't really go too far, does it? I guess it does if you're trading intraday and so forth. So it goes from like 118.90s down to, for a couple days, to, well, there's the low there, I guess. So it goes down to 117.73. So about 100 pips, I guess. That's pretty good, actually. Some good action in there. Then we get into the buy here, but then it tries to fight its way into the weekly again. It's not too beautiful, really. This is one of the more uglier ones of our map that's fighting the daylight. So it gets into the buy here for this. And it is a winner chicken dinner, but I'd like a lot. Look at how choppy this is. A lot of choppiness to this. Look at that weekly sell right from here. Let's see, what else can we show you? Okay, so there's a weekly sell there. Goes into a weekly buy here. That's this peaking thing. It gets you into the daily buy right here for this whole move right there. I'm not a big fan of this product if you're a producer or you're trying to use it for marketing your currency out. I understand that you have to deal with it, but this is one of the more choppier products I've seen when it comes to our math. I mean, this thing it barely looks like it could be maybe a 60% win. I've seen that occur on some products. Goldman Sachs used to be that way for decades. it only had like a 60 some odd percent success rate, which is really too low for me to want to trade. I would be careful about this unless you have to trade that product. All right, now, how's that, Samuel? Does that make any sense to you? Let's see. So Lou says, look at Euro GBP, bear or bull. We're a bear there, and I will consider exiting my long. Yeah, that Euro GBP is a much smoother product. It can go on trends for 12, 13, 14 weeks. The dailies will join in and look good, and it makes you money. The idea is that you want to make money. That's the whole key out of this whole thing. You don't just want to be right. You want to make money. Which pairs do I like? That's a good question, CZ. I like cable. I like euro against the dollar. British pound against the dollar. Canadian is okay. You can see here. Let's just take a look at them. You can see they're more consistent. You can see some nice wide, openness here, where it gets into a buy, and we're in a weekly buy, and you can ride that. I think this had 5 out of 6 wins. Things like that. You want the 8.5 out of 10 match. Any product that can't give you that. It's very rare to see a product not. I mean, look at Turkish lira. Turkish lira must be 95 out of 9.5 out of 10 accuracy, but it's not very liquid. It's very hard to trade. If you're in Turkey and you use the currency, well, then it's okay. But if you're just speculating, it's really tough because it's very volatile. Lots of heavy margin, the whole bit. Let's see. Samuel says, yes, it makes sense. Thank you. Okay, cool. I hope I always try to be logical in some ways, as much as I can be crazy at the same time. So yeah, that's really where we're at the moment. Is that it's rare to run across a product that is not good with the math, but that GBP Swiss is jumbled. And then you can see we went back, 6-7 months? Where are we on that? Let me go back to that again on the charts. I think we went back 6-7 months, and it has some wins, but not enough for me. Okay, so that's back to December and November of last year. And you can see we get into a weekly sell here after this big peak. We can't even see what the daily is right there. And you can see it tries to get into the buy here, and then finally gets into the weekly buy there. But it's not a pretty action. And now, okay, so it goes into the weekly sell here, and we're in a daily sell all here, and you can't even get into a buy. So it goes into a daily sell, something like right here, because it's a red green and dot situation. And it honestly doesn't get back into a buy again until right here, because it didn't do it there because it's red green. So you're waiting for the next day, and you can see it's down. And then it does it here, red green. So you can't be long or anything like that, even with it being in a weekly buy. And the next day it breaks down, puts you into the sell again. But in this case here, it really goes into the sell officially here, and doesn't come out of it until right there. So there was some good trend in March in this product. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess what we're looking for is there going to be some good? Look at this. We've followed it for some people that have asked about it, and you can see it's on our. Is it on our spreadsheet? No, it's not on our spreadsheet. And you can see here, the product is really just really sloppy. It goes into the buy here, and you make money on an intraday trade, but how do you if you're trying to trade longer term, it makes it very tough. Look at this. It goes into a weekly sell here. After going into a weekly sell here, explodes up here. It like almost inverses it, right? I mean, you start the curve, go through the manifold here, and it breaks down. And we're in a daily sell throughout this whole thing, and we're stuck in a weekly buy, so you can't really take that much of a trade out of it. So it's not the most fun thing or profitable thing to trade. All right, I hope I made that clear. Like I said, it's one of the rarities, because when you look at all these other products, they do have a lot of consistency. Weekly sell here for weeks upon weeks, even with that mad rush in, it puts you back into the sell again there for a ride down. So it's the winner, winner, chicken dinner. It's one of the tougher ones. In this case here, you get into the sell, and you end up, if you had a stop up here, it's okay. But if you didn't have a stop, then you have to wait for this trade to make your money all back again. And so, this is what we like. We like consistency. Canadian, same way. You see it gets into the sell here, we get consistency. And when we go back and look at these products, there's some width. In other words, look at the distance between the weekly buy, a weekly sell and a weekly buy. I can put up with a weekly buy here, and we're in a daily buy. I can put up with that. And I can, then it puts us back into the sell and gives us a nice long trend down. That I can put up with. But when it comes to this very, what we call saber tooth, that's what we used to call it on the trading floor. When you get trapped into a saber tooth type of product that just constantly in and out, it tells you to stay away from it. It means liquidity problems. And I could see that. I mean, at this point in time, the Swiss is like the best of the products. The cable, in particular, is confused because of Brexit. And so there's a lot of strange stuff going on there. In some ways they're competitive when it comes to flight to quality. You have to consider Pound in some ways a quality place to run to just as much as you would think the Swiss. Obviously the Swiss is even more of a quality place to run to, but it has a lower industrial base. So, it's a real confusion going on there, in those two products. All right, where did we leave off here? Let's jump over to, did we look at the cable even? There's the cable. The cable's been in a sell from here. Tried to get into the buy, but we had a red and a green, and it's still breaking down. But look at this, the way it bounced off the time manifold on Friday, and is trying to lift. So you can't be long, and the weekly is trying to lift up again. And I think if you go over to our fact check spreadsheet, you can see we've been in a weekly buy since all the way back in October 16th. So the buys have been decent. That one was not decent. That sell, you weren't long, so you didn't have to worry about it. And then that buy made all your money back. And that sell, you're not going to get short because you're in a weekly buy. And then that buy again makes money. And then that buy makes money. And that buy makes money. And that buy makes money. And so something like that, which is smooth, that will be consistent. And we like that. See the nice gaps between all that. I'm not sure why those lines are running down, but I think we were emphasizing something about sell numbers versus buy numbers. Like that. You can see like there. And there. And there. Where you get that downtrend. Let's see. Lucy says, cable seems to be losing steam against the euro last week. Well, again, it's the holiday, and they're at the end of the year and now the beginning of the year. Cable, I guess, didn't they signed Brexit on the 31st? I know they're finding things out, especially with Northern Ireland, or is it with the Republic of Ireland or something like that. I was reading some of the things that are going on. They're still trying to get the Brexit all figured out. I think that's the only and best way to try to describe what's going on at the moment. Let's see. So I wouldn't take that as like a yearly trend or something like that. I would think I would more take it like. Let me lower the volume here. I just realized the volume had not been on. I would take it more as just the beginning. That's the best way I can describe it. We'll see. As you can see right now, for some reason, which I think is interest rates. The interest rates are rising. There is constant talk about inflation. We always hear about the bond vigilantes. We never really see them anymore. Now that the central banks are the main theme now, and they're the buyer of last resort, and so that says a lot about bond vigilantes. They can't be that vigilante, Let's see. What else can we say about any of this? I guess that's about it. Anybody else see anything particular? We'll just keep on looking through. I'm going to run over to Canada. Let's take a look at Canada real quick. There's Canada there. Canada's trying to get into the weekly buy. You can see we're in a daily buy for 1 day there. So I guess everything is moving up. When this is moving up, usually oil is moving down. Let's first take a look at secondly look at NASCAD. Now, CAD's trying to break down, so I imagine oil is having its issues, so I expect to see it sideways or down. We go over to oil, and there it is right there. Yep. Okay, so we can see some pressure on this coming down from that 52.75 area, 52.70 area. You see the pressure is on there. And you can see it's flirting with the daily sell. Been in a daily buy since over here for that ride, and been in a weekly buy since November, late November. So it looks like a little profit taking starting. And then a lot of times what we'll do is, and let me just refresh this. We'll take a look at bean oil, because it does burn too. So I mean, it has the ability to move in the oil complex, and we can do that. We can take a look at the oil complex now that we see that there's some pressure on it. So we'll save crude, and then we drift over to natural gas, which I saw last week. It was like, whoa, natural gas went into a weekly buy on the close on Friday, and we're still in a daily buy right here. But very impressive. And what are they doing today? They're knocking it down. So we'll see how that holds up. If it holds up, we're getting a volatility signal. And you can see the weekly is now trying to pierce down, so we're watching that at the same time. And we'll just keep an eye on that. And I guess what we can do is, let's see, this is red-green. This is minus, so we're going to put a little red line there that sets up the potential for a sell going into tomorrow's bar, or tonight's bar, the way you want to look at it. And so that is interesting. And it closed in a weekly buy. Maybe they'll, the sellers will go, okay, we can sell this. It's a place to sell it. And then they find out that there's more buyers. Now what we need is our weekly to be back up above the zero line here for it to confirm that. And so that's the action we're seeing there. Then we go over to Robo. Take a look at the gas oil used in Europe or unleaded gasoline here in the States, and let's refresh that. You see that's been in a weekly buy for a while, and it's also making it's barely. I mean, look at the green line, how high and far away it is just to the time manifold, the golden yellowish time manifold there. And you can see that's trying to press down on the daily. So that's still in a buy though. We'll see how much pressure they can put on that. I've noticed gas oil or unleaded gasoline has been very expensive of late. Let's see. Let me see. Lou Sui says, on second thought, I would hold my long Euro GBP till tomorrow. I cut loss if price breached 9.0 round figure level. An intraday trader. Interesting. That makes sense. Let's take a look at that again. Let's see, Robo right there. Let's go back to where is it? Right here. So it's trading at 90.24. Let's see, what are you? You are long, okay. And I'll cut my loss if it breached the 9.0. Okay. That's interesting. Now you can see here, it's trying to break down, but it's higher. But we got the weekly pressure. So not only that, I think you have to deeply consider the fact, Lusui, is that if it breaks that 90, especially closing around 5 Eastern Standard Time U.S., you want to be short this product, not long it on a short-term basis, because look at this pressure we're seeing here. Weekly sell for 2 full weeks. On a third, it's starting to really dip. We're in a daily sell for 1 day, and it's going the wrong way. So if this thing breaks down there, you're right. That could be a real doorway to the short and challenge these lows in here. That makes sense? Sure, let's look at 1 hour chart. There it is right there. Let's see, where is it at? Right there. So that is, we're looking, oh, yeah, okay, so we got to go. We just need to put GBP in there, that's what it is. right there. Let's see how that fills in. I don't think we've really looked at this thing in a hourly chart in a long while. It'll complete it in a few seconds there. It's filling it in. This should be very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like. I wonder how many days back we're going to. 26. Let's just make it 20 and see what 20 does. Now it looks like it's really backfilling. Let's see what 15 does. Now we can go reverse. We can add more to it again once it fills in all the data. There we go. So now there's 15 days back, and you can see, it went into the long here with that flat, stayed long, and then finally lifted. In this case here, you see it goes into the short right here, and it has a very little success. And now, even with all this, it's going the wrong way altogether. This was a half decent short, I guess. Yeah. It vacillated back and forth and then put you into the short here for this. And then it really broke down. Just like this was the long right there. Or is it there? I think this is the long right here. This top. And that is the short, but we had a green dot. So you can't be long. You can't be short, and then it breaks down the next one. And then it gives you all this, which is cool because that's the short right there. The second short with a red dot. Let's take a look at that. Where's it at? Right there. So it's been in a weekly buy since a weekly sell. I'm sorry, since January 1st, since the end of the year. So let's go back to the hourly. So it's been in a weekly sell since basically in here. So the sells have been much better, obviously, and look how tight the manifold gets. That's always a sign that something's getting ready to explode. Just like here. So you get that nice little draw with this nice draw right there. So we're in a weekly sell during all that. But you have short-term movement. There's profit takers, so forth and so on. There are more green dots on your hourly chart versus daily chart? I guess so, yeah, because we're in a weekly sell, right? Remember, this is a daily, and this is a hourly. So there's just way more bars in a day. So, what's there, 24 bars in a day or something like that? 23 bars. What is WB on your Excel sheet on the left? Let's see. The WB... No, it's in a weekly sell on that. See, it's 2 weeks in a sell right there, and 1 day in a sell. See it right there on line 15? Yeah, we're just going to be nothing goes, different cycles of a product. That's how you get the saber tooth structure. Does that make any sense? So in other words, when you think that you're seeing, we're in a weekly sell, you think you just can stay short all the way through it. Well, if you're hedged correctly, you probably can. But if you're just naked, you might get stopped out, and then the thing will roll over. When you have options on, and you marry options to the hard delta or the cash or the spot or whatever you want to call it, or the future, that's a different story altogether. I just took a bite of an apple. So you can see here, what is that, like the 5th, going into the 6th? Just a lot of sideways action. Some short-term trading. Then you can see here. You can see here, same situation. And then the end of last week, and when it was in a buy from here, or was it here? From here, and slowly worked its way up from the 930s to the 980s. In this case here, it didn't get into the sell until this big move here. And I gave you a little bit, was it about 10 pips, something like that? Then this one gave you about 10 pips on the upside and never got into the sell again, you know, all the way to the end of this. So it gave you, I don't know, like 30, 40 pips in the end. Let's see. The question for Lusui is, let's see, doesn't it mean that the momentum is bullish at the moment, depending on the cycle, you know, the time frame? I don't even use time. I don't use the conventional Newtonian time, like, you know, hours, minutes, and seconds. I do use dailies, but after that I go into like ticks or contracts because it's more three-dimensional. You know, you know, whereas, you know, in some ways this is all right, but I always find a spatial time reference frame much better than a physical monolithic one. You know, minutes, hours, that type of thing. So you can see here the Euro GBP is acting very, very strong in here. Does that make any sense to you? And then I guess we scroll more over to see it again. And does its, you know, like you have a lot of sloppiness from, well, Friday, you know, everybody's closing down. Then you get into a sell. Then you get back into a buy, and there's some nice little moves. And now here, this is where we're at now. It's trying to lift up. You know, the sell was horrible. 5 pips, 6 pips. And, you know, we're in a weekly sell and a daily sell, but that doesn't stop the reference here. Doesn't it mean that the momentum in bullish at the moment? No, not particular. Just it means that when you're trading on a week-to-week basis, it says that the trend is down. Let's go back to that. So in this case here, this week here, you know, it broke down into here, confirms the sell on the close. You can see the weakness throughout it all, but again, it's, you know, it's the end of the year, so you're getting all kinds of foolishness, you know. So it's always junk trading. Every year it's like that. And then you know, it closes in a weekly sell, and the following week, the first week of the year, it finds a way to go up. You can see the daily is trying to turn up, but not doing the best of jobs, that's for sure. And again, there are two major moves that make this thing out of whack, and that's got to do with the end of the year and the beginning of the year. You know, for money to have to adjust itself. And then now the trend will start to be more smoother and more accurate now that we're past that point. Remember, taxes have this, has a major influence on these two bars. Is taxes. That's the biggie. So the overall trend, when we look at this, you know, a week or two from now, we may find ourselves in the 89 area. You know, with this being in a weekly sell. And if this stays in a daily sell, then it'll zigzag its way down more. It'll go down in its trend, just as it started to rise in its trend on a weekly when it went into the weekly buy here. And again, end of the year action. And let's see what we're doing here. I think we're running a, what are we running here? Yeah, so we're just running a 3 at the moment. So you can see it's trying to get into a buy. It gets into a weekly buy here, and it pushes itself into a weekly sell there. You get the momentum down for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And then it, you know, shoves itself into the buy in here. And you got your daily buy there, and it's showing that strength. I think we were looking at it for somebody on the triangle pattern at that time. That was back in September, October. So when you look at a weekly trend and think that you can trade it intraday on it, no. No, the weekly trend is for weekly trends. If you're, you know, buying it on, you know, I don't know, buying it on Monday and selling it when it goes into a weekly sell, you know, you could be 5, 6, 7 weeks or 1 week. It's hard to say. It does by itself. You know, we don't tell it. It tells us. So that's like the only way you really interpret something like that. If you're trying to go to a daily trend and say, can I trade it short on an hourly basis because it's in a daily downtrend? I guess it was okay here, but again, it's the end of the year. This is a lot of noise for settlement. Settlements of end of the year stuff with taxation. And the sellers there decided to get right back into it again. Whoever was long it, for whatever reasons, find themselves at the beginning of the year back into the position again. Could be central banks. Anything's possible. Literally, they seem to follow that taxation pattern themselves. So right now you can see like last day or two, you see that strength. So let's look at what is that? That's fifth. That's the fifth, sixth, and seventh. So you're trying to, I guess in essence, even if you're watching this, the time manifold through, then the next day, this is the buy on the 6th. Let's go to that hourly again. On the 6th. So you see some strength in that daily. And you can see that it was a good run. It gets a little bit better looking at the daily and the intraday. It can be more accurate. There's no doubt about that. And I always like to say things like dailies lead to weeklies. It can happen. Anything's possible. There's only two directions it's going. Well, we always say there's three directions. There's long, there's short, and there's neutral. And so the math is always telling us be in one of those positions, long, short, or neutral. In this case here, it was telling the daily was saying to be long and the intraday was saying to be long. Now the next day, coming into, I guess, what is that? That's midnight. There's London Open, Swiss Open. Let's take a look at the 7th. Where's the 7th here? There's the 7th. It's still in a buy by the close of that day. And then the 8th goes in, really pushes it into the sell. So we come back over to here on the hourly. There's the 7th. It was strong. And then it's leading. The hourly is trying to lead us into the sell. But again, it pushes us into the buy here, because it's in a daily buy. And then the next day, we closed was it the 7th, was it? Let's take a look at that again. So the 7th, so it's the 8th that closes in a daily sell. So now let's look at the 8th on the trading of us. You can see the hourly pushes you into the sell, and by the end of the day, it's in a daily sell. Now we would assume, with that logic, that it's going to be in a sell today. And right now, on a daily basis, it is in a sell, but it's going the wrong way. But our weekly's still rolling over. There's a lot of pressure there. So, I would say that I would not buy this. There's no reason to even think about buying this bounce up right now. And let's refresh that too, because it's more than likely it's going to be sold back down again. Does that make any sense to you? I hope that helps out, trying to identify a weekly trend versus a daily trend versus an intraday trend, which sounds like a really good title for this webinar today. Excuse me. So that is the action that we see there. All right. It is an interesting, point of view in a sense. So now, let's see. We go with, where do we go from here? I guess we can go, I don't see anybody. If anybody wants to see anything, let me know. We'll take a look at it. What do we do from here? Usually we go over to the oil. We looked at the oil complex. And then, and let me open up this too. I want to see what soybeans look like in this thing. Soybean oil, and specifically. That's oats. And there's bean oil. You can see the pressure on that too. Let's reload it and make sure it's correct. So the pressure is on it today too. the oil complex. Now, at the same time, we went into the sell here, and we're in a weekly buy, and look how strong it is. It's really going nowhere. And now we are even trying to get into the daily buy. So it's basically telling us that the product doesn't seem to want to go anywhere. I think that's the best way to describe it. They have no interest in going anywhere. Right now, it's just going sideways. And that's what that's telling us, too, at the same time. So it doesn't tell us, doesn't it mean the momentum is bullish at the moment? At that moment, on a daily, yes. The overall weekly, it could go for a couple of days where you go into a daily buy and then all of a sudden back into the daily sell again, joining in with the weekly itself. And that's why we always say that if you're going to follow this with a hard delta with no option, you want to be the daily and the weekly need to be coordinated more. That gives you that higher success rate. Let's take a look at soybeans themselves. Oh, they're running them up again. Yeah, look at that. Oh no, wait a minute. I'm confused. Now why? Oh, I guess because it's a red and green, so it's a buy off the opening last night. That's why. Now look at that. The histogram, not the histogram, but the histogram is minus, and the green line is still minus. It's still not through. So we'll move that over one like that. It's still not in the buy, but it's higher. And you can't be shorted because it's in a weekly buy. So it's a neutral at the moment when it comes to soybeans. Boy, they just keep on marching along, don't they? Let's save that. Beanies. And then I guess we could look at the meal, because that seems to be part of that whole crush thing. That's also, seems to have no interest in whatsoever getting near a weekly, which is really curious in its own right. And I saw where they're buying Indian rice. China and Vietnam are buying Indian rice. So, I mean, their inventories are really low. So they're really reaching for this stuff. You can see, let's see, they tried to do that there and showing the strength there. We're going to just throw that up there. Just giving a warning that we are getting into a buy area right there. And that is the meal. It just seems like the world must be, every time I turn around I see another article where there's problems with food outside the United States. Which is extremely curious, Extremely. Well, traders, what else can we do here? If no one wants to see anything, we're going to jump off and get rolling along and get ready for the trading day. So, this is Doc from North America. Catch you all tomorrow. Come and ask questions. Take a look at things. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading